The NGO Forum calls upon the Commission to adopt a thematic resolution on forced displacement, non-refoulement, and the protection of Sudanese civilians, refugees, asylum seekers, and migrants in Sudan, Egypt, and Libya, in which it expresses grave concern at the regional protection crisis affecting Sudanese civilians fleeing conflict, internally displaced persons inside Sudan, Sudanese refugees and asylum seekers in Egypt, and Sudanese migrants, refugees, and asylum seekers exposed to detention, trafficking, exploitation, unsafe returns, and abuse in Libya. Calls on all parties to the conflict in Sudan to immediately cease attacks against civilians and civilian objects, protect, prevent further forced displacement, protect displaced communities, and ensure safe, rapid, and unhindered humanitarian access to affected populations. Urges Sudan and all parties to the conflict to respect the rights of internally displaced persons, including the right to safety, dignity, humanitarian assistance, family unity, documentation, and safe, voluntary, informed, and dignified return only where conditions allow. Calls on Egypt, Libya, and other neighboring states to fully respect the principle of non-refoulement and immediately halt forced returns of Sudanese refugees, asylum seekers, migrants, and other persons to any place where they may face persecution, torture, arbitrary detention, and forced disappearance and other serious harm. Urges Egypt and Libya to end the arbitrary arrest and detention of Sudanese refugees, asylum seekers, and migrants on the basis of irregular entry or residency status, and to ensure access to legal safeguards, interpretation, medical care, family contact, judicial review, and effective remedies. Calls on Egypt to ensure that Sudanese refugees and asylum seekers have effective and prompt access to registration, asylum procedures, protection from forced deportation, healthcare, legal assistance, and education. Calls on Libya to close all secret and unofficial detention sites used to hold Sudanese migrants, refugees, and asylum seekers. Investigate trafficking, extortion, forced labor, death in detention, and death at sea, and provide survivors with protection, medical care, legal assistance, and access to justice. Urges concerned states to ensure that Sudanese children, women, older persons, persons with disabilities, survivors of torture and sexual violence, human rights defenders, and persons fleeing conflict receive protection sensitive assistance and are not subjected to detention, deportation, family separation, or denial of essential services. Request the special rapporteurs on refugees, asylum seekers, IDPs, and migrants in Africa to close monitor the regional protection risk arising from the Sudan conflict and the situation of Sudanese refugees, asylum seekers, and migrants in Egypt, Libya, and other neighboring countries, including through continued engagement with states, civil society, UNHCR, and affected communities. Calls on the African Commission and its relevant special mechanisms to strengthen coordination with the joint SCHPR-AU fact-finding mission in Sudan and civil society organizations to document violations affecting Sudanese displaced persons, refugees and asylum seekers, and migrants, and to support victim-centered protection and accountability. Call on all states concerned to ensure that migration management, border control, security operation, and asylum procedures are carried out in full compliance with the African Charter, the 1969 OAU Refugee Convention, the Kampala Convention, and the principle of non-refoulement. Thank you.